Hello friends, welcome to Greeky Sanjay. I recently received a request from a close friend to make a video on creating a class and schema diagram. Today our focus is on Splitwise. What is Splitwise? It is an application that helps us keep track of expenses during a group trip and settle the amount after the trip is over. So let's dive into creating a class diagram using the requirement and schema from the class diagram. When starting a class diagram, we have to approach. If the requirements are unclear, we can use visualization technique. On the other hand, if we have clear requirements, we will directly use the entity approach. This involves identifying noun as entity and gathering related information as column. Now, what's entity? An entity can be anything living or non-living thing that has a property and actions. Let's begin create the class diagram based on the given requirement. So as you can see here, we have a Splitwise requirement, and we just start reading one by one all requirements, and we creating a entities from there. Okay. So normally whenever I was create a class diagram, first I will create a raw class diagram. For that I am using the Notepad. It is very useful for me because I can see requirement and I can write here whatever the basic fields or entities we can get it. Okay. So as we can see, do you see any nouns? So first we have to find it out the nouns. Whenever we are creating a element, whenever we are creating a class diagram and requirement has given us, so first we will find it out the nouns. So first we will write read about user can register and update their profile. So can you see here, is there any noun? Yes, this user, and the profile is noun. Okay, let's see next. A user profile should contain at least their name, phone number and password. So we can see they have given the information about the users but not a profile. So we will not consider this as a table. We will consider user as a table. Okay. So we will deselect it like this. Okay. Next, a user's profile should contain at least their name, phone number and password. So as we can see, name, phone number and password, this also is a noun. Okay, but we do not have additional information for this. So we will consider is as a columns, not tables. Okay, so we will take as a column of table or entities. User can participate in expenses with other users. So as you can see, users already we have taken, and the expenses is a noun. So we will just bold it out with other users. Okay. Users can participate in groups. Users can participate in groups. So you can see here users already we have taken, and groups is a noun. So we are taking groups. So first we will copy these users and we will paste it here. Now this is our entity. I kept it like this. Now second, we will take on these expenses and we will put it here, and we can make the first letter bold. You can write first letter bold, or if you want as a first letter capital or small, as your choice. So we are keeping here because we are creating a class diagram, so we are keeping as a first capital letter. So now we have created a second entity. Okay. Now here you can see a user profile should we will come to. First we will get it out all the nouns, then we come again on the requirement, we'll see what are the fields we can edit. Okay. Now here we have a groups, so we just simply created one more entity here, that is group. So now we have a 3 entity with us. To add an expenses, a user must specify either group or other user involved in the expense along with who paid what and who owns what. They must also specify description for the expenses. So as you can see, we already taken expenses here. Okay, like this expense we already taken, and group also we taken. So there is no other noun which we can write it down here. Okay, a user can see their total own amount. Okay, that is not a problem. Amount and on, yeah, there is no noun. A user can see history of expenses they are involved in. So we can, I think we have a noun here, that is history. Okay, but as per the requirement, there is, we are not storing the history here. As you can see, uh, just we will keep it for now. Like, see, we will keep it because this is the noun. So normally we will keep it and then we normalize this later. Okay, so this we have taken, and a user can see history of the expenses made a group of the participating in. This is already we done. There is no specific noun which we have not taken yet. Users shouldn't be able to query about groups they are not a member of. That is also fine, that we can see. Only the user who has created a group can add remove members to the group. That is also okay. Here we do not have any nouns. User can request a settle up the application should show a list of transactions which when executed will ensure that the user no longer own or receive money from any other users. Note that this need not settle up with any other users. So in this line, if you can see, we have a noun, transactions. Okay, so we will take this transaction and we will create one more here. Okay, now we go through again. User can request a settle up for an group they are participating in. The application should show a list of transactions which is executed will ensure that everyone participating in the group is settled up on a net of 0 res. Okay, note that it will only deal with the expenses made inside the group. Expenses outside the group need not be settled. So as you can see in complete, we do not have any unique noun which we have not taken. So we will go ahead. When setting up a group, we should try to minimize the number of transactions that the group members should make to settle up. Okay, settle up, we already taken a transactions. Note, all tests will be performed in all go. The application does not need persist data between runs. So we do not have to save any data. Whatever we are doing, we will just create a method, we will run and we will display whatever is there at the runtime. So we do not have to persist it. Okay. So as we can see, we already listed down these things here: user, expenses, groups, history and transactions. Okay. So we never seen any details about the history. So we will remove it from here because it is not required and it is not a table for us. Table and entity, whatever I'm saying, both are same. Okay. Here we will call it entity, and whenever we will create in the database, that is called the table. Now the transaction. Is the transaction is the entity? So as you can see, whenever we will do the transactions, he clearly mentioned here we will not store anything, we will not persist any data. It means transaction will happen on runtime and we do not have any information which we can save for this. Okay, so the transaction is also not a entity. So now we have three entity with us: users, expenses and group. Now we go ahead again with the requirement and we will try to find it out their columns. Okay. So as clearly we can see here, first we already taken. In the second we can see here we have a name, phone number and password. So we will copy it here. So these are our field. I remove this and we can keep like this. Okay. So now we got a user name, phone and password. So our entity is done. Next, user can participate in actions. Okay, we already taken it. User can participate in group. Yes, we already taken it. To add a expenses, a user must specify either the group or the other user involved in the expenses, along with who paid what and who owns what. They must also specify the description for the expenses. So here he has given the detail about the expenses. Okay. So what he has given? He has given the description, you can see here. So first method first column we will take as a description. Next, here he already cleared here. You can see who paid what and who owns what. Okay. So we will write it down here. Paid by. Okay. And had to pay. Who owns why? Had to pay. Okay. So now we have three field here: description, paid by and had to pay. Is there anything other which we can add? Yes, we can see expenses, group other involved in the expenses along with who paid what, and they must also specify the expenses. A user can see their total on amount. So amount is also we will add in the expenses. Okay. So this is related to expenses, because what we will do, amount where we will just for the expenses we use the amount, that's why we will keeping it here. Okay. Now we have amount. A user can see history of the expenses they involved, so we are not taking the history, so we will do like this. Okay. A user can see a history of the expenses made by group that they are participating. Okay, that we will do it. Users should be able to query about groups they are not a member of. Okay, users should be able to query about groups they are not a member of. Okay, so here we do not have any column. Yes, we can see one thing, that is the members. Okay, so that members belong to who? So this members belong to group, because we will add members in the group. Okay. Now next, only the user who was created a group can add remove member to the group. That is okay. User can request to settle up the application should show a list of transaction which when executed will ensure that the user no longer own or receives money from any other users. Note that this need not settle up with any other users. Okay. So here he is writing about the settle up. So how we will settle up the amounts whenever we be used as a expenses. So that we will do at a runtime. We will create some strategy for that. So that is the different part that is not related to this. So we will leaving it. Next, user can request a settle up for any group they are participating in. The application should show list of transactions which is executed will ensure that everyone participating in the group is settled up. Note that it will only deal with the expenses made inside the group. Okay. And expenses outside the group need to be settled. That is also fine. When setting a group, we should try to minimize the number of transactions that the group members should make to settle up. Yes, we do not have any new column here. So as we can see, we already have a column with us. First we have a name, phone number, password, then description, okay, paid by, had to pay, and amount, and in the group we have a members and expenses related to the group, as he already told here. Expense. Okay. So now we have a name, members and expense. What else we can add in the group? So every group has some name. So we will keep a name which is not provided here, but if that information is not provided and that is common thing, so we can add more information about the group, like we can add the creation date of the group and other things. That is also fine. So that is not a problem. Okay. Now we have a tree. So here you can see we have a username password, so there is no problem in this. Here we can see there we are expenses description, paid by, head to paid and amount. Okay. So jo whatever paid to buy, who is the paid to buy? Paid to buy means who give the expenses, and it can be a multiple. So whatever we will write for this, that should be, we will create a map. Okay. And map is user and amount. Okay. So these two thing we will add as a paid by, but list of this. Okay. So whenever we see, we are tightly coupling expenses with this, and if we will create a database, so it is very hard to explain, means how we can relate with these expenses. So now we start normalizations. Okay. So here we start normalization, and we will create one more mapping table, which is user expense table. Okay. So in user expense table, what we will do, user expense. Okay. And here we will write one more line, and we will take it here. So what we will keep in the user expense table? First, because it is related to the user and amount. Okay. So we will keep here first user. Okay. And we will take a amount from here. So this is finish. This is also we will remove from here, but we will keeping for some time. So we will remove from here, and we are keeping it here. We will reuse it. So now what next we have to do? The user expenses, one user is coming, amount is coming. Now next expenses, which is related to the specific single user, that we will put it here. Okay. So we will take expense. Okay. So now we have a name. Yes, we have a user, amount and expenses. So here we have a head to pay and paid by. These two we have. Okay. We will remove this from here, and we will keep it to here. Okay. Now user, amount and expenses, and what type of expenses we have. As you can see, he already cleared here in this who has to paid and who on the amount. So expenses is two type, like we four friends went for the tour. Okay. And we have done any, like we do the dinner. Okay. There four friends and the amount is 4,000. In that case, one of friend has given 4,000 and three of not given any amount. So here we can see there is a 4,000 given by them. Okay. So he owns the amount. So how much he owns the amount? So because there is 4% and bill is 4,000, so everyone has to pay 1,000 rupees. So who has A is given 4,000, so we will less 1,000. Now 3,000 he has to take. Okay. So whenever we will put the expenses entry, we will keep in mind ki we have to add the different type of expenses, one which we have to paid and one which we have to receive. For that we will keep a type here. Okay. For the type, what we will do, we will create a enum instead of writing direct type, because tomorrow it may be a different type will come. So it is good to create a enum for this. So what is the enum name? User expenses, user expense. Okay. Now here we have a two types. What is the two type? One is a paid by. Okay. Paid underscore by, and the next thing is had to pay, had to pay. Okay. Now we have two enums with us. We will write it down here, enum. Now what next? So we have created a user table. Now we have our expenses table with the description and amount. Okay. And now we have a user expenses. In the user expenses we have a user, amount, expenses and type. For the type we have created a two enum, paid by and had to pay. Okay. And now we have a group. For the group we have a name, members and expenses. Okay. So now we will start with this. So this is our, we have created our class table. Now we will extend it. First we will create a schema diagram from the class table here only. So first we will create a raw type, then we will go and we will create a draw in the lucid chart. Okay. So how we will create our schema? So whenever we will create a schema, we have to take a little different approach, because in the class we directly using the object, but in the schema whenever we are creating for the tables we have to use the IDs. Okay. So now we will write here schema and same thing. What you can do whenever you are giving the interview, you can just explain the schema or class diagram like this. In the notepad you can write simply, because he just want to know, do you know, or because he do not want to check your designing skills, he just want to check your knowledge, how much you can write, how much you can think. Okay. So whenever we will create a schema, we will start with the users first again. So this is our table in the schema. Okay. Here we have write. Now what is the first thing we can write it here? So first thing we will write a user underscore ID. Okay. So this ID type we will keep like a primary key. Okay. Now next, what next? What we have a name, phone number and password. So we will write here name, phone number and password. I will take it from here, this one. Okay. Now go to next, expenses. Now we have a expenses table. Okay. In expenses table, first we have a expenses ID. Expense ID. I will copy from here directly to save some time, because this video going to be little big, because we have to draw the class diagram schema also, so it will take some time, that's why. Okay. So now we have a expenses ID and we will keep it like a primary key. For the primary key we can depict like PK. Now next, what we have? Next we have a description and amount. So we will copy both the thing here. So these are the simple field which we will take from there and we will write it down. Now next what we have? Next we have a user expenses. Here. So here we have a user expenses. User expenses, first we will write, always we will first write a IDs. So you can keep like ID, or either you can write like a user expenses underscore ID or expenses ID, whatever you want to do, you can write it down like that. So here we are writing user expense underscore ID. Okay. So keep in mind, whenever we are creating a schema diagram, that time we will use the snake casing. This is called a snake casing whenever we are using the underscore. Okay. Whenever we are writing the class diagram, creating class diagram, we will use the user expenses like this. It is called a, it is not a camel casing, it is a Pascal casing, where first letter and next last letter is big. You also can do user small and expenses like a camel casing. But as you can see here, we written like a paid underscore by head underscore to underscore pay. So whenever we are writing the enum, this is the convention which we have to write it in the caps, and whenever we have a separator words, we will use the underscore. It is called the snake, like this. Okay. So it's called the snake casing. So we have a different type of casing. One, we have a camel casing, where we have a first letter small and the second word capital letter in the case. Second case we have, that is the Pascal case, which normally we will use in the classes. Is first letter means all words first letter should be capital. Third is coming the snake casing. In the snake casing, you can see we will using the underscore in between. Okay, so these are the common which we will use in our programming. Don't use the don't use the dash. Okay, dash is not a common convention to use it. You will get the error. So always whenever you want to separate, use the underscore. Okay. So now we have a user underscore expenses underscore ID. Now next we will check what is next we have to create. User ID. User expenses. Yeah. So we have a user. For the user, we cannot directly write a user here. So I will put it here first, because it is having too much. Yeah. So we will take a user underscore ID here for the user ID, because in the class diagram we can directly put the object, but here we will take only ID. Based on the ID we will work. Amount field is simple. We do not have to write something for the amount field. Okay. And expenses. So again here, because expenses we have written, that is a object. Now we will take a expense underscore ID. Okay. Now what next? We have a type. So we have created a type of user expenses type. Okay. So this is the enum. So whenever we are converting class to schema diagram, that time we will create a class for this. So we will create one more class, user expenses type. Okay. And here. So what we will write it here? We will not write directly paid by or head to pay, because these are the strings. So what we required, as I told you, we always required a ID first. So we will keep it here ID or user expenses type ID, or you can write it down type underscore ID. Okay. So we will keep like user expenses underscore ID, user underscore expenses underscore type underscore ID. That is fine, that is not an issue. Okay, now next what we will do, we required a type. Okay, what type? This type. Whenever we will fill the value, we need a type, paid by and head by. So whenever we will store here in the user expenses, we will not keep like this. Okay, what we will take it here, IDs. So we will take IDs of this. So we will not store any string, we will keep the IDs. Why we will not store any string in the table? Because string we can change. Okay, and IDs normally we will not change, this is auto generated. So whenever we have to give the reference, we always give the reference of the ID instead of the strings. So that we have to keep in mind. Okay, now so here we already did it, pk we did it, description we kept it. Here we has to write pk like primary key, and the user id, because it is coming from the outside who will come, foreigners, this is the foreign key. Amount is the symbol field, we will remove from here and we will put it to the end. Okay, and the expense id is also from other table, so we will keep it like a foreign key. Okay, and user expenses type underscore id, that is a normal, we also can write it the foreign key because it is coming from there. If you want to keep it, that's not an issue. And here we have a amount. So now we completed this. Now here also we have this pk licks primary key. Okay, and this is a simple type. So now we have created a user id, expenses, user expenses, and user expenses type. Now what next we have? Group. So we copied group from here. Okay, so now here we can see group. ओहो छोटा कर दिया, सब बड़ा रख रहा है, ठीक है. So ये group कर दिया. अब यहाँ पे name is a simple. So first we have to take a group ID. Okay, so we will create a group ID. Okay, now next what we have in the group, we have a name of the group, so we will keep like this. Okay, and we have a member and expenses. Again here the next thing come, as we can see, we cannot store it directly. Okay, so whatever we cannot store it directly, because this is the members, it can be a multiples, it's not a single. Okay, so what we can do, we can distribute it in multiples, because many relations, one member can have participate in multiple groups, and multiple groups can have many members. One group can have many members. So here m to m relationship, whenever we have a many to many, what we will do, we will create one more mapping table. So we will create one more mapping table here below this. So we will keep name is user group. We have written like a user group. Okay, now what we will add, first thing always we will add the user group underscore id. This is the first we added. Okay, next what we will take, we will take a members. So we do not have a members. What we have in members, we have a user. So we will remove members from here and we will keep here user underscore id. Next what we have to do, next we have a group, because we have to connect the group here. So we will take a group id. So this is our group id, because user is there, group is there, and simple user id is there. What next we have? Next we have a name. So here we have a group name. Okay, so instead of a group name, we can keep the name here, and we will just we will keep name here, because we already have a group id, so we can keep like this. Yeah, so now we have created all the tables. Anything we are missing from here? I think group we have converted, expenses this is also we have converted, user is there, expenses is there, and user group is also we have created. Yeah, I think we have created all the tables whatever is required. So now primary task we completed. We will start creating a UML diagram using the lucid chart. So here is the lucid chart, lucid.app website where you can just register and start creating. There is one more draw.io which also you can use, but I am very comfortable with this, that's why I am taken it. So whenever you open, you create a new document from here and it will open like this. So we can see here shapes. So why we will use these shapes? These shapes we will create whenever we have to use the flow. Okay, but here we are creating a class diagram, so it is not required here. We will not write this here. Okay, shapes, this shapes is also not required because it is not useful for us. So what we required for the class diagram? For the class diagram we have a different section which is not present here. To take that, what we will do, we will click on this more shapes and we will find it out more toolbars. So we do not have this, we don't want this, we don't want data flow, dynamic shapes, entry architecture, entity relationship. This is we required for class diagram, as you can see here. And then flowchart shape, Google Cloud, no, Kubernetes, Orange, process, sitemap, sticky note. There are too much UML. UML we will keep. Yes, UML we can keep. So these are the library which will be selected. Okay, now we will start to creating it. So whenever we are creating a class, you can see we have this UML class diagrams. Okay, and here we have a entity relationship. So first we will create for a class diagram entity relationship manager. Okay, so you can see entity, this one we have where we can keep the keys, this type we have and this type we have. Okay, so we can take any whatever we required. So if we want to keep a key, field name and type, we will take this. If we want to keep field and type, we will take this. Okay, and if we just want key and field, we will take this, or if we want to just write it down the name, we will keep this. So this is the different type which we can use. So here I guess we will use the this one. Okay, so here we have drag and drop. First we will write the entity name, so we will open here, we will take the users, copy it, double click on this and paste it. Okay, now again we have a name, phone number, password, copy this all. Now see, our task is very simple. Name, phone number, we cut, double select, here you can see we have a rows. Okay, so here we select and paste. Then we will double click on this, control X, and double click on this, we will select these fields. चलो आराम से आते हैं, थोड़ा जल्दी हो गया, एक एक ले लेते, कोई बात नहीं. Double click on this, paste, copy. Okay, and paste. How I am doing? Alt tab, whenever you are doing, you can change the windows, and then I double click and copy and change, and double click, select and control V, paste. Now you can see it is big, so we can extend this entity table. भैया आ जाइए, बड़ा हो जाइए, आजा भैया. ठीक है. So ये बड़ा हो गया हमारा. Now you can see we have to write here key. So first we will write. So yeah, we do not have any key, so we are not using the key here. So we have taken a wrong thing. No worries, we will change it. We will keep uh, 2, okay, where we will keep a type and the field name. So that is not a big task, just we will copy. Okay, if you can do like this, it is very fast. You don't have to worry about, just copy paste everything whatever you want. Okay, see, now we just copy this also and paste it here, and we will select it and delete it. It is very simple, like you can use your pen. Okay, it's not very hard to use. Simple, we have to just use a little command here. In the point we can select it, and if we want we can make it big and small. Okay, here this one, and here we can extend little more. Here we can start writing the type. So first we will keep name as a string. Okay, now phone we can take as a number now, and password we will keep like a string. So now our first table is completed. Now next table, expenses table. What we will do, we will select Control C and Control V. We copied it, we will keep it here. Now again we will open this expenses copy and this one. It is very fast, we can do. Description we can take it here, and amount we will copy from here and we will put it here. Now description is like a string, and amount we will keep integer. Well, normally we can keep float, so we are keeping a float here. Okay, and we will remove this row. We don't want this row, so we will right click on this and delete row. So now we have 2 here. So 2 table we have created very fast. Now we will come on to third, user expenses. Okay, so copy this. How many we have? So we copy this, Control C, Control V. We will do little fast now. Okay, so user expenses, copy paste, then user and the amount and expenses here. Okay, now we have a type. So we have only 3. What we can do, right click here and we will insert a row below, and double click on this and paste the type. Now user is our users, and the amount is our float. Okay, float. गड़बड़ी करी, float. And expenses is come expense, and the type as it will come as a enum. So what is the type? We created a type like a user expenses type, so it will come like a user expenses type. So I'm not writing that much big, so I'm just keeping type. If you want you can write like the big thing here. Okay, I will write it down, otherwise you just confuse later on. User expenses type, this is the type of this. Okay, so here we have a field, and we can just do like this. So now we have a 3 table. Next table we will start with this user expenses. Okay, and this is the enum. So we just simply copy and paste here. This is the enum. In the enum, we not required this enum, we need a single one. So first we will write the enum. Okay, here what is the type of user expenses type? User expenses type, and we will shift enter and we will write it down here enum like this. And whenever we write it down the enum paid by, and we will use normally comma to it, okay, and had to pay here. Now this is not required, so we will remove this last one, delete row. So now we have done this. And next table we have group table. Okay, it has 3 fields. We will take this, copy here, and now we will take copy group, and now name, very good, members, we will write here members, and the expenses. So here we have a expense, so we will keep expense type as expense type, and we have a members, so members will be a map of users. We simply change it the groups. So we created a, I think we separated it, so I have not removed it from there, member, in the group, and expenses, yeah, we can keep if we want to do. So this is the member of map of users. Here we can keep, either if we want we can create one more mapping table here, but we are keeping here because this is the class, so we do not have to worry about it. Okay, so we are keeping like this, just little okay, yeah, and group we write it down. Now next what we have with us, yeah, so we have completed 1 2 3 4 and 5 tables, 1 2 3 4 5 set tables. Okay, so now this 3 we completed. If we want, if we feel this is the very big font, we can see here we have a font sizer which we can make it small. We have a bold, underline, italic. If we want to change the color, we can change the color. Okay, now we are keeping like this, a big one. We want to bold it, just simply double select, just click 2 times, it will be select. Now this, okay, I am just going very slow so everyone can understand. This might be a very big video, so please bear with me. We have to create a schema diagram also, and I think I will create here also instead of taking another one. So now we have to connect with one with, okay, so you can see here we have a user expenses group, and user type enum. So name, phone number, password, so there is no problem. So we have to rearrange little bit. We just keep here and we will make group here because we have to put the user here, so we are keeping it top, just rearranging the things so we can connect it easily without overlapping the things. And we have a user expenses, so here we required again user, here we do not require any user, but expenses we required here, so we can keep it here. And paid by, this is directly related to the type, this we can do it like this. So simply you can see we are getting many points here. Okay, so whenever you have to connect, simply select here and connect it. Okay, so I think yeah, we can click like this. So we will take it from here, this point, and we will tell him please connect with this. Okay, so this is connecting with this name, and here we will connect it from this table. Excuse me. Now we have a type and expenses, so because we return expenses on top and type below, if we do like this, then this will cross. So we will rearrange it. We will keep expenses here and we will keep type here. So it is easy to write. Uh, so we will take this from here and we will connect with this, and we will take it from here and this. So now you can see we have created our class diagram for the splitwise. So as you can see, you can zoom in, zoom out it. I will take it here and keep it here because I am creating another, and here I don't want to take another page. So I will explain here. Now we need one thing, container. Why container? Because we need a one box. So we will take this container, okay, and we will write it down here. What we are writing down, Splitwise class diagram. Okay, now we can make it bigger and bold. Okay, now this is done. We can do like this, shift enter, we just created to, okay, simply, yes, and now we edit it like this. So this is our class diagram. Now we just move little below and we will keep it on the top, and we will create one more, that is our schema. So same for the schema, we will use this UML class diagram. Here we have written entity, here we will use UML class diagram. Okay, so whenever we are creating a class diagram, that time we have to think, whenever we are using the class, we have a 3 columns. First column for the heading, second column for the all your fields, and third column for your methods. So here we will not write any methods. So what we will do, we will keep a 3 for a convention here like this. Okay, and yes, little big. Same thing we will do. We will take our schema, take users, just double click and paste simply. Now we will take a user ID, okay, and as you can see here, we have something class, this one is useful interface, okay. Now we will zoom it out little so we can easily create it. Okay, now take a 2 finger and you can move like this on your keypad, okay, of the laptop. Either you can hold the space bar, and using the mouse you can grab and move aside whenever you want to do using the mouse. Whenever you leave the space bar, it is converted in the normal. Okay, so we have created a user. You can see we have something here. So we have a formula to do it. First we will write the plus plus minus minus plus. What is this? So whenever we are defining a private variable, we will use the minus. Whenever we are using the public type of variables, that time we will use the plus. And if we are using the default, we will not use anything. Okay. So just keep in mind, we will use this, and I think for the static we will use the hash, I guess. Okay, and then we will write the attribute here, then we will use colon and type, we will write it down here, and if there is any default value we will set for this, we will keep live equals to and default. Okay, so we will start doing this. User ID, so I'm just keeping the user ID, and I am keeping it like oh here actually मैं this is plus minus we also can use in the class diagram. Okay, here why we are using it, UML diagram. Yeah, for the same thing we can use it, but that's okay. We will remove from here. We are not keeping. Let's see later. Here we will like this user ID we have, what type we have, so we will keep it to int. Okay. Uh, now we are keeping int. You can keep it string also. That is not any problem. We'll just keep it simple. Now next, what we will take, name. Okay. So we will write it down name here. Same. Double click, and you can get it. And the type name of the string we will like this. So here we will not string, we will use the varchar for the string. Okay, and the third we have a phone, we will write it down phone here. And phone we are keeping number begin, we will see. Just you can write anything. So I don't have password. Okay, password we will write it down here, enter, and colon, and password is again string. So we do not have any default value for now, so we are keeping like this. So now user ID, int, name, varchar, phone number, and password string we already written here. Okay, and here we do not have any methods, so we are removing from here, and we are keeping like this. Okay, so same we will keep like what type we are creating, like private or public. Then you can, if you want, you can use the plus minus, but we are not using here plus minus. We are creating a schema diagram, so I think it is not required here. So now you can see we have a user ID, name, phone number, and password. If you want to make it more little beautiful, simply make like this. So all will look good. Okay, yeah, this is the designing, and designing taking time. Okay, so don't worry. And I am designer, core designer, because I started my career as a graphic designer, so I am just little bit more specific for the designs. So now this is completed. Another we have created here. Video is too much big now. It's okay, we will make it into part if it is very big. We'll see what we can do. So now next we will take expenses, and the same thing, expenses ID. Here we will write expenses ID, and next we will take description. Okay, and next we will take amount, which we'll put here. So we have to make it little big, so it will fit. We will just forget one thing to write it down here. Not we, I forget to write it down here. This is the primary key which we have to write, and again same problem came. Why we have not taken that much? Okay, so we have to keep like this. Okay, so now we have this, and we have this. I think this is very harder to do. We can use this one. This is easy. Either we can take this one. This is also a very easy, because we are not using the method, so to field is also fine. So just I am doing it immediately. User, and we are keeping user ID because we have to write many keys, so keys is required here. We simply write pk. Here we do not write any key, we'll remove it, we'll remove it, and we just copy. I will do it very fast, don't worry. Name and the phone number here. Okay, and the type we have a int and varchar, and the number type is there or not, or int we can take it, I don't know. This we are keeping. Now we'll create one more insert row below. Okay, now we have a password, we'll copy it here, and we have a string, we will copy it here, don't worry, we will fix this all. Just remove it, simply take this, we can do it. Very good भैया बड़ा करना है. Yes, here. Okay, now we can do like this. Now it is easy to manage. So user is done. Now we will control C, control V, and we will do it again. Expenses. Okay, we can take anything, either UML, either they are just, we have to show something. That's why we have many ways to do it. So don't worry, you can write it down. Don't be a very specific. Just we have to tell what we required, so we can use anything. Just explanation should proper. Amount भाई अमाउंट कौन फोन नंबर रखता है भाई. इंट हो गया, वर्केर हो गया, अमाउंट आई थिंक इंट रख सकते हैं, बिग इंट रख सकते हैं, वट एवर यू वांट टू डू. String not varchar, we will keep it here. Okay, so now this table is done. Just remove this. So 2 table is completed. Now we have many things to do. Yes, user expenses, the next table. Control C, control V. We will create one table here, user expenses. Copy this. Okay, user expenses, and here user expenses ID. It is little big, so we will make it little more bigger. Simply in the corner, just hold and stretch. That's it. Now we have a user ID, and we have expenses ID, and we have a user type underscore ID. Okay, we will make it little small. Control minus, I am pressing control minus, so don't worry. I am saying this small thing because I know we have a different type of users, many of not coming from the tech background, so we don't know the this basic commands. So I'm just telling you here, user expenses ID. Now we right click on it, and we will create a insert row below, and here we will keep one more amount, and amount we are keeping like int now. Simple. Okay, so as you can see, we already written a pk for this. Now user ID, we have a foreign key fk here. Where by creating using this entity, it is very easy because we have a separate row, so we don't have to every time we have to not like align. Easily we can do fk. Expense ID is also okay, and user expense type ID, this is also like a fk, but that is okay because this is the enum which we can keep like this. And the amount is nothing, simple text. Very good. So now we have completed 3 tables. Not very fast, I can create it very fast, but I'm just doing it slow for you. Now the next table, we will take it, copy and the paste. Control C, control V, and move it. What next? User expenses table type. Okay, so here we will write it down, user expenses type. So what this is the enum type which we have created. So copy and paste it here, and the second type and paste it here. Now we do not write something here. We have a primary key, foreign key is not required, and I think this all is not required, and this column is also not required because it has only 2 columns. Okay, so what we can do, we can select this all rows. Very good. One by one we will remove, delete row. Shift will not work here. We have to do slowly. Delete row, and here we also doing the delete row. So now you can see we created a enum table. Okay, so this is also if you want you can just write it down here enum, but it is table, so no need to write here. So this is we completed. Next, what we have, we do not have much now. We have a group. Okay, we will go with this table. So group ID we will keep like group ID, and we have to change the name of the table. Now what we have a name, and here we have a name and expenses. Here we have expenses. We can remove this table, this row, delete row, because we have only 3 fields which we already put it here. Group ID is type of int, we will keep like this. Name we can keep work here, and the expenses, I think it should be expenses ID, not expenses, expense ID. Yes, it is expense ID. We will keep ID, and this is our foreign key. Okay, so as you can see here, this is also done. Okay, if we want to make a little space, just we select this. So yeah, now I take a sip of water, please excuse me. Now we are just end of the video. So now we have a 3 field, copy and paste. Here you can see. Now simply take user group, and we have a user group ID and user ID and group ID. So group ID is also FK, user ID is also FK, and user group ID is, we can write like user underscore group underscore ID. This is int, this is also int. Okay, and this is also int. So now we have created 1 2 3 4 5 6 table. 1 2 3 4 5 6 table. Yeah, so whenever we are creating a schema we cannot create perfect, because whatever I am creating, maybe some users has some other approach, and they can say me, yeah, they can say no, this is the wrong thing, we can do this. So everything is right in the schema, nothing is bad. It's depend on the situation, what you are creating, and how many features you are doing, how scalable it is. Based on that, we can create more tables, we can more split it, but we are not going in the depth. So just we will do one more task here. We will connect it, and we will finish our videos like here. And here you can do zoom. For the zoom, because I have a mouse, so I'm doing this like mouse wheel. You have here search, where is the zoom icon? You can do plus minus, as I told you, if you do not have. Okay, and for holding space and move it simply, either you can take 2 finger on your keypad and move it directly with the 2 fingers. So now we will connect it. First we will rearrange it. User ID, okay. Expenses, okay. Expenses type. So as we can see, we need a user ID here. It's look little complex to just here we will keep it like this, and it will take some time. because we have to arrange it so no other two fields or lines can overlap multiple times. So we can arrange it like this. So first we have a user required a user id. User already have a user id. Why I'm thinking like this? So name, phone, it is not connected with anything. And here we have a expense id, that is okay, description is okay, amount and password. So amount and password is also individual field, so that is also fine. We have a user expenses type which is not connecting to any of them, so we will put it here. Okay, now we have a group. In the group we have a expenses id, yes, so this expenses connected with this group, very good, so we will keep it here, it is easy to us. And user group id, here we will keep user id, so we will click user and group id we can connect here, so this is the right place which we can put it here. And the user expenses, what it is required, it is required a user id, it will come from here, user expenses id. So user expenses id तो उसका खुद का ही है, user id we have, expenses id where we expenses id we have here, we can take it from here. And user expenses type id we can write it down here, so that is not a problem, we can. And amount not required. So now we have arranged it whatever is required, so now we can easily connect it. Okay, how we can connect it? Simply you can see here we required a expenses id, so take a id and connect with this. So this is one connection is done. Now what you required, a user group id, user id required here, so user will come from here. Okay, and yes, we can take it from here, user like this, and it will take it like this, user id. Okay, now we need a group id, we will take it from one from here and we can connect it here. Okay, so now it is connected, it is little overlapping, just we will remove like this, do it like this. So this is also done. Now what we required, group id, group id we already connected, actually we should connect it to here, but we can remove, simple select, and you can remove if it is not properly mapped, because we have a group id here, so we will just connect here and the group id directly. As you can see, this 3 is coming because that row is there, so it's connected properly. Okay, now next what we required, group id connected, user id is connected, very good. Expenses id we already connected, either we not required anything, here also we not required anything. Here we need a user expenses, user id we require to connect, we already taken here, and we can connect it to on the same user id. Now this is also done. And we need a expenses id, so where we have expenses id, we have expenses id here, so this little we will keep like this, little up, we will take one from here, so it will not overlap. Expenses id, user id already done, expenses id here we can connect like this, so only one overlap is there, that is okay, that we can afford. Okay, now थोड़ा सा अच्छा दिखो भाई, गंदा लग रहा है, डिलीट करो, because whenever you are creating a design it should look like professional. Okay, and so I always believe on to this is okay, this we can do. So I think we have one thing is pending, the type. For type we will take it from here and we will connect it from here. So now you can see I think we have connected all the things. So here we have completed our class diagram. We will make a little small, we will just select completely, do it here, and the little makeup is pending, double click, make it to bold, control V you can use, double select, click and control B, double click and control B, this is a shortcut to make it bold. Okay, so this I think we have created. Now we have to add a container. So we will close it. We will take our container we will take. We will tell him भाई थोड़ा सा बड़ा हो जाओ. Yes, here, and we will make it like this container. This, okay. So I think this is good. ये किसी से connect नहीं होगा. ये होगा है ना. Here we will write simply splitwise schema diagram, and same we will just enter it, sorry, shift enter to make it little far from there, and we will create how much big we required. I think 18 is more than enough. 14 is there, yes, and now we will make it to bold. So as you can see here, we have created a class diagram and the schema diagram, both the things from the scratch. So now we have to export this. Simply you select this, yes, and you can go there, and here we have a option. If you want, you can save for the future, okay, like this, and I just write it down splitwise. So whenever you come later, you can do it. Okay, now I have to export it, so I will come here and कहाँ गया भाई, यही तो था, ये रहा export. So you can export as a JPG, PNG, PDF, whatever format you want, you can simply save it. Okay, so comment only sharing, don't show again, maybe later, done. So now you can see it is done, and now we can download in on a local. So it is downloaded in a local. I will keep it splitwise in the LLD3, and I will add this in the video description where you can get it. So I think I did what I can do. I given my best to explain you, and I hope who has requested me is very happy by seeing this. Yeah, I know this video is very big, so either I will create in 2 part, or either I will create in a 1 part. I will look into it. So thanks guy, uh, thank you for supporting me. Please keep supporting. Whatever doubts you have, please write it down in the comment, video comment, okay, because engagement is very much required. I'm expecting at least I will get 10 to 20 comments for this, and please help me to increase my subscription. Tell your friends, okay, and you also engage this video, subscribe. Thank you, bye.